I'll live in memory's garden, dear, with happy days we've known. In spring, I'll wait for roses red when fades the lilac blue. In fall, when brown leaves call, I'll catch a glimpse of you. Should I go first and I remain? Should you go first and I remain? For battles to be fought. Each thing you've touched along the way will be a hallowed spot. I'll hear your voice, I'll see your smile. Though blindly I may grope, the memory of your helping hand will buoy me on this hope. Should you go first and I remain, to finish with the scroll, no lengthening shadows shall creep in to make this life seem droll. We've known so much happiness. We've had our cup of joy, and memory is one gift of God that death cannot destroy. Should you go first and I remain, one thing I'd have you do. Walk slowly down that long path, for soon I'll follow you. I'll want to know each step you take, that I may walk the same, for someday down that lonely road, you'll hear me call your name. I thought this was a beautiful poem, and it just says what's in my heart. But I want to say just a few words about my husband. My husband and I welcome all of you. And we started out as two starry-eyed teenagers who had a crush on each other. That developed into a deep, deep love that lasted almost 65 years. That love brought us 5 wonderful, loving children. No greater gift than that. Through the years, we've fought our battles together. We've had fun, we enjoyed life. He was strong to the end. He took his disability, his illness, he took it with such a cheerful way. He smiled all the time, never complained. He was a real strong soldier, so courageous. And how God took him was a blessing to all of us. We were sad to see him leave. However, that was the best way for him to go. And I thank the Lord for all the days of my life that he gave me with such a wonderful, loving family, not just our children, our family. So I thank you all for listening and for bearing with me. I was going to say a little bit more about how he indulged me with jewelry and every Sunday packing 5 little loud kids and going to visit Grandma. But you all know I've said what I have in my heart. I can't say what I have in my heart, it's too much. But now I will turn this over to Liz.
You know, and I can totally relate. It is difficult to write down or even try and describe what somebody really is like, their essence and what they meant to you. But you know, I'm gonna give it a whirl, and so thank you for indulging me. You know, as busy as my dad was building the business when I was growing up, I always felt that he had time for me. You know, and he did all the usual dad stuff. Teach me how to ride a bike, try and teach me how to throw like a guy. Never could learn. How to dance, how to wallpaper, how to paint, you name it. He taught me all these things. But you know, some of the most important things that I learned are more caught than taught. For instance, he taught me perseverance. He encouraged me to stay the course. I can remember back when I was in nursing school, I was getting toward the end and I just was struggling so bad and I was crying on the phone, and my dad in his usual way would be like, you know, you're almost there, keep at it, and you know, just think, in a week or so you'll go down to Florida and lay on that sand. And so he told me to keep my eye on the goal, take care of myself in the process, and just remember some of the victories I've had in the past, because I had always done well in school. I finished, and here I am today, a nurse 40 years. But you know, that wasn't the only time in my life I was discouraged. But he was there every time, like my cheerleader. You know, he just saying, you can do this. And like my mom said, when he was beset by his disability, he persevered. He kept trying to exercise. He kept trying to get up and walk. And it was so encouraging when we were in Florida this last time. He was walking up and down the hall. And it just really taught me, you keep your focus forward. Do not allow the circumstances you're in right now determine how you're going to act. You know, another thing was he lived out care for the extended family. I remember a time when somebody needed something in the family, and here's my parents getting ready to go. They were tired. They were stretched to the limit, and I'm concerned for them. So I'm like, listen, you don't have to go. There's other people. Take care of yourselves. It's not anything you need to be concerned about. And my father said, I was born concerned, and I'm going. And that was the end of the discussion, and that's what he would say. I was born concerned. So I was frequently one of the ones that was on the receiving end of their love. Something's up. They dropped everything and went with it. It's Nick and Connie. And went with it because they, both of them, they loved us. Any of my kids, at the drop of a hat, I can remember my parents driving down to Western, Phil, to see you after your dad, at the time when there was things, or Nick, when Dad died, they were there, John, for you. And I just appreciate both of them so much for that. You know, he wasn't all business, though. My dad showed me how to have fun. And he was always singing and dancing around the house. Sometimes even knowing the lyrics to the songs he was singing, otherwise making them up. Right? Okay. You know, and just, he would grab my mom and they'd start dancing to the tune he's humming. I thought everybody grew up with parents that would dance like that. I did not know how special I was. And then, of course, he'd get us going and try and teaching us as we were dancing, too. You know, there was a time, and Chuck, Rose, and I, Mom, and Carmel and Anna will remember this well, where he thought it was hilarious to imitate people's laughs. So he would start with my mother and do like this. just for exaggeration purposes. And so she'd start laughing, okay, and then we'd start laughing, and then as we're laughing, he started to do and of course we were all side-splitting, laughing to beat the band.
How he imitated Carmela.
And Carmela was, he was just made us all laugh. When we were in Italy, we were at a Tuscan villa, and it was a vineyard, and they played the tarantella. And here was my dad leading the tarantella for the group of us on the tour. You know, this is normal for me. You know, my dad's leading everything. So we get on the bus afterward, and everybody was so appreciative. They were just clapping and saying, Chuck, 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 until he would stand up.
Hear at first.
Well, and he didn't want to stand up and say thank you. He was that humble, but he just had so much fun. And then one more funny. When Phil was going to Japan, my dad got that Fu Manchu Chinese mask, totally non-PC, everybody, and he had a cake that was shaped with a fortune cookie, and he was reading Phil's fortune. just cracked up with his Chinese accent. My dad was so funny. And you know, my dad loved sports, of course. Cubs, Bears. I became a Cub fan in 1969 because of him, and thanks to him, it was how many years of the lovable losers until 2016 when they won the World Series, and I was more thrilled watching my dad celebrate that than I was for my happiness or even the Cubs for winning the World Series. You know, lastly, my dad spoke gratitude into every situation he was in, including his illness. He'd say, "I'm so thankful for your mother. I don't know what I would do without her." He was appreciative, grateful, not just to my mom, but to anybody who would do any kindness, no matter how small. He just was that kind of a person. Never refused, he just never angry or bitter, always thankful. You know, and he was thankful to the Lord because he knew that he had family and friends around him, and he treasured every last person. So to close, I'd like to follow my dad's example and be grateful to the Lord for all the years I had my dad. I feel like, if it wasn't for Mom, Rose, and Vince, and Mr. Lapuz, we would not have had him as long as we would have. So I am so thankful to you guys for the sacrifices you did caring for him. And I just want to say, Dad, you were deeply loved and will be missed greatly.
You know, I just do have to add very quickly that we moved in here really not knowing what we were moving into. You cannot know what the experience is going to be until you're living it. And we thought we were going to have this addition in our own separate apartment and it'd be fine. Well, we're living in a bedroom. We found out after living here for several months that it was working so well, that these two are so amazing. I don't know what else to say. It worked so well. It has been nothing but blessings for us. And so whatever you think we have done, Vince and I have reaped so much more than we could possibly ever have given you two. And I am wildly grateful for that.
Thank you.
So, and yes, the man was
Thank
always
you
happy.
for giving up your own home to come here.
Oh, we got a good home now.
The beeping, does that mean something? Is it running out
Oh,
of
no.
time?
Keep going for him, because Nick and Connie did join us.
Okay.
Oh, great.
So that's wonderful.
If
So,
anyone else
that's mine that I'm just
would
recording.
care to say anything, feel free to pop up and whatever.
You don't even have to stand up.
You don't, all right, you don't have to stand up. We float. My quote is when I wasn't even in on the conversation about somebody moving in with us.
Surprise.
I said to them then, I'm just floating down the river. I'll float down the river. Whatever you say, we'll do. And we did, and it worked out wonderful. So, if we're done, or if anyone wants to say anything, you're welcome to.
I'd like to say a little something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he was my confirmation sponsor.
Right.
But more than that,
He was the godfather.
he was not such a godfather. But one thing that I always felt was near and dear to him, and he introduced to me was Singer Island. And if there's any thing in my life that I can say a thing as opposed to a person, and I think my uncle's the same way. He loved it there. And I hope there's always a memory down there with your family.
Yes, thank you. And you'd be welcome there anytime.
It was great that we got to be there. It was great that we got home. And he timed it really well.
Right.
So it was good.
It was a good thing. We weren't even home a week
Good.
when God
Uh-huh.
came to call.
There you go. Nick, did you want to say something? Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Bears shirt. Everybody a Chass. And we love you all. And we hope you all will like the family storybook. And
We
want
love
to,
it already. And
want to send our love to all the family and appreciation for all their help with the book. And love you all. We sure miss Chass. Want to celebrate today in honor of him, but it is something that's been quite a year. We wish we could have gone to the service for him
right.
in March. That was difficult, and today is sort of bittersweet day. But we wish that the family could celebrate a life well lived. Thank you all.
Well,
Love you all.
I do want to say the book, Our Family Stories, is a book that's a labor of love. Nick and Connie, they worked many weeks and months, and it's his gift to all of us. And we thank you, Nick, from the bottom of our hearts.
And Connie.
Thank you,
And
Nick and Connie,
Connie.
for the book. I can't wait to read it.
Wait till you see this
Yay.
book.
All night. Wonderful.
I want to thank all of you for your memories that contributed to the storybook. And we appreciate it. Each and every one of you, we have at the end of the book the acknowledgments, and we do thank all of you. We wish we could have had even more photographs, but it's a turnout. I think that it tells the story overall. So
And
thank you
it's
again.
wonderful. And it was of the Pentozzi, Icolo family, and Connie's, a little bit of Connie's family. And I told Connie she started to tell me some of her stories, which are amazing. At any rate, we thank you both very much. And then I think Nick Milano would like to say something.
Grandpa was the greatest. As we all know, he worked as a painter drywaller by trade, but he was much more than that to all of us. He was a godly leader who believed the teachings of Jesus Christ, to love others more than you love yourself. His life was evidence of his faith, and the way he cared for me and his family leaves no doubt in my mind that his eternity is secure in heaven. I've been meticulously documenting Grandpa's life for the last 37 years. He was an endless source of fascination. I have an exhaustive list of all of his buddies' nicknames from the old neighborhood. As well as some of his incredible stories, like the time he saw a horse take a bite out of a red car like it was an apple, and secret information about his brilliant idea to revolutionize public transportation with a rocket to outer space. I'd like to share 3 things I've learned from a life of careful observation. First, always give your best effort. When I was little, Grandpa would take me out for pancakes before heading to the shop to help do some work. Even when throwing out trash or sweeping the floors, he was quick to remind me of the importance of giving my best efforts. I remember getting yelled at when I was washing wallpaper when I was 13. You always wash from the top to the bottom. This work ethic allowed him to build his business and provide for his family. He gave his best efforts in everything he did, even in mundane tasks like trying to film things with his video camera. We have hours of footage of him filming the ground at Disney World, the Woodside Ranch, the ground in Florida. Second, he taught me to be generous with everything I have. Of course, there have been countless gifts over the years. Cash he handed me while off at school, rides, food, and trips to Florida. But beyond that, each Thanksgiving, Grandpa would take out the money jar, where every grandkid could take as much change as they could grab with one hand. This might be a fun memory for us grandkids, but his generosity allowed us to give gifts to others at Christmas. His thoughtfulness never dwindled. Even this past winter, he could barely stand or hold a putty knife, and he offered to come to my condo and help repair some drywall. And third, an important lesson he shared from his father: marry a woman a little dumber than you. While he didn't take that advice himself, Grandpa loved Grandma and frequently referred to her as the boss. Relationships were no joke to Grandpa. He threatened Cindy the first time he met her, warning her that I was a good boy. In all seriousness, the most important lesson I've learned from Grandpa is to take pride in your work. He would always stop at the end of the day and reflect on the work he did, whatever the job. If he painted a wall, he would look over for roller marks or drips to fix so he could admire a fresh coat. If he washed his 55 T-Bird, he would stand back and bask in the cherry red glow before taking it out for a cruise. And as we reflect on his life and legacy, the family Grandpa has led is the enduring work that he can be proud of. And we can take a look around and admire a job well done.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I don't want to cut anybody short if we need to.
I can hear you.
Okay.
No,
I was just asking if
John
anyone
says
else had it.
Oh,
John, are
okay.
you gonna? Oh,
right, yeah, I can say a little something.
love that.
Oh,
Right,
okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, Grandpa was always a really, warm, friendly guy who tried really hard to relate to people. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends in school growing up, but, he was always there for me. He always said, nice things and got me involved and stuff and wanted to play games all the time. So that was a really, bright spot in my life when, it was hard growing up.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Liz.
And Eddie, don't you have a photograph to show or a video?
Do I? No, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Your gift, that's what she was talking about.
It's on my phone, which I don't have.
Oh, okay.
I can't find it right off the bat.
All right, well then tell them about it. Tell them about it.
And that is friendship. I was and you all have heard it because I'm very proud of it, that I was their flower girl, Uncle Chas and Aunt Rose flower girl. I reveled in it. It was my day that I came out from hiding behind my mom's skirt and everything, and I am so grateful for them for that, number one. But more importantly, they weren't only aunt and uncle to us. Yes, when we were little, yes, it's true. But when we got older, and especially since I met Chuck, we become such good friends. Chuck only had uncle for 14 years, but those 14 years, I just figured I had such good luck with the name Chuck. Because of my uncle that I ran with it. But they had a friendship that couldn't be beat, and we all had great times together. And I'll never forget and how much he adored my aunt. Never ending. And his family. Braggadocious about you guys. I mean, love the man to the end.
Thank you.
We'll see him up there, hopefully.
Yes.
Do you have the gift?
Were you able to do that?
All I can say is that one time we had him come over to our house to help paint.
Wasn't it his birthday?
I thought, wasn't
Wait,
it?
wait.
No,
He's
he
telling
came
a
over.
story.
He came over to our
Okay,
house
Sorry.
so that he could paint the porch, the little handrails that are around our house. And I had a 5-in-1 tool that he claimed. I had to take it back. He fought with me for it. So on his birthday, the next Sunday or Saturday or whatever it was, Liz had this great idea to get him a 5-in-1 tool. So he opened it up, took a picture, and I got a gift, made a gif of it, which I can't find, where he's taking it and hugging it.
It was
Send it
fun.
to us.
Yeah, you'll have
Well,
to
when I
send
find it, I'll
That's
gladly show it to you. It's just a couple of seconds, but I mean,
Yeah, and the incident he's talking about was just last summer. Wasn't this summer? It was a year ago. So he was painting the rail in his wheelchair.
I saw him painting.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him
Yeah,
painting in the
because
wheelchair.
yeah. So
it was pretty funny.
He was good.
all right. Well,
Loved his work.
anybody else?
Okay.
Okay. Well, Phil, thank you
Rose, I
for
think
joining us, and I will talk to you later.
Bye, Phil. Bye, Phil.
Bye, Phil. Love and miss you.
Yes, and yes.